Guys, welcome back after that advert break. Let us look at our next question. So at question number 3, I've indicated here that Kabelo bought a wooden table that came with assembly instructions. Carefully study the diagram and answer the questions that follow. Right now, when I look, some information is given. If you look at the diagram, you'll see here we have labels A, B, all the way up to E, right? So then the information basically describe what tool is there, right? So A, for example, is the leg of this table. E, for example, here is the top table connector, okay? Always important, make sure you know what is represented in the picture, what is represented in the diagram, and connected with the information given to you. Okay, now let's look at our first question. Question number A says, the assembly diagram does not indicate what tools Kabelo may need. Suggest 2 tools you think he may need to assemble the wooden table. Okay, now if I look at this, guys, I see indicated there some screws, right? If you look here, for example, in there. Okay, so the first item I would list is definitely a screwdriver. Right, so that's the first item I would list. Then, since we're going to assemble this item to make it tight, I'll also say, for example, a hammer will be needed as well. Okay, so that's the 2 tools I would say that Kabelo will need to assemble this wooden table. Right, let's look at our next question. So here at question 3b, it says, for each step number 1 to 4, right, give a written description explaining what to do. Okay, so if I look, these are our steps. So this is step 1, step number 2, step number 3, and this will be step number 4 based on the diagram that was given to us. Okay, so if I look, what do you think is happening in step number 1? Right, so if I look, I can see there I have my A is represented by the leg. I can also see B, which is the middle connector. So what are we doing here? We are connecting A, the legs, to the middle connector. We agree. So right, I'll say step number 1. Okay, so let's start. Step number 1. We will assemble the legs, right? And we'll say that is A. Okay, with the middle connector, as I've indicated just now. And the middle connector is labeled B. Okay, so middle connector. And I've indicated that as B. And then what will happen? If you look now, we will use screws on both sides. I'll just write it like that. Screws on both sides. Guys, are we clear? So we'll screw them from both the sides. If you look here, and if I look on that side as well. So that's what is happening in step number 1. We assemble legs A, as we can see there, with the middle connector, which is B, this part here. Okay, let's look at our next step. Step number 2, we are looking here now. So what's going to happen here? If I look at, we'll flip over the assembled leg frame, this part here, nah? A and B together basically. Okay, and then we connect it to the bottom of the wooden countertop, which is C. Can you see? This part here goes there. Here's the first part, A and B connected, and now we flip it and we're going to combine it or connect it to the wood countertop. Guys, are we fine with that? Okay, let me write it down. So basically, we will flip over the assembled leg frame. Right, so that part there that we did in the first part. And then connect it to the bottom of C, which is the wood countertop. Right, and again, can you see we are using screws to do that? Guys, are we fine? Remember the question state, right? We must give a written description. That's why I'm writing all of this down. Okay. Next question, or not next question, next step. I'm now looking at step number 3. We are here now. Okay. Step 3. What is happening here? So if I look at it, I can see we are using counter or top table connector. That's E. So what is happening now? So basically we are aligning the holes of the table connector, the top table connector here, which is E, with the holes of the bottom of the wooden tabletop. Can you see? So we are aligning that, and then we're going to insert the wooden screws. Okay, let me write that down. So we are aligning, so we align the holes. Let me just erase that, write it proper. On the top table connector, right? I'm here now. Top table connector, which is E, right? With the holes at the bottom of the wood tabletop. Guys, are we clear with that? Right? So there we can see that is step 3. And again, we're going to insert the wooden screws, right? The hood screws, right? And then the last step here, step number 4. So what is happening in step number 4? Right, so now I can see there's the table. So flip over the assembled parts. Now it's all put together. Insert the hood screws and tighten wooden countertop. So there on top, now I'm going to tighten that as is indicated there. So I'm going to flip it over, all the assembled parts, right? And then I'm going to tighten it. So the last step here, we flip over the assembled parts. Right, and then insert hood screws and then tighten the wooden countertop. As I've indicated, there's the wooden counter top, right? And that's D that we've seen there as indicated, top wooden table, right? Guys, I hope that's clear to all of you. So basically, to run through this, first step is where we assembled legs A with the middle connector B, right? Screws on both sides. Second step is where we flip over the assembled leg frame and connect it to the bottom of the wooden or the hood countertop, which is seen in our diagram. Step number 3, we are here now, right? We align holes on the top table connector, which is E, with the holes at the bottom of the hood tabletop. And then lastly, we flipped the assembled parts, insert the hood screws, and tighten the wooden table or wooden countertop, which is indicated as D. All right, guys, let's look at one more question. Question number C, it says, could the wooden table be assembled if he completes the steps in a different order? Explain your answer. Guys, we know sometimes we don't necessarily follow the steps as indicated. So I would say yes. Sometimes it can work out better, faster, smarter. In this case, my answer is definitely yes. Could the wooden table be assembled if he completes the step in a different order? But I would say yes, but it might be more challenging. Remember, what is the aim of the assembly instruction, the diagram? Is, like I've indicated right at the very beginning of the lesson, is to make it simpler. The person who's doing it, to guide that person, to make sure that the job gets done efficiently. Guys, are we clear on that? So yes, it's possible. It could have followed other steps in doing this, but it could have been more challenging because this diagram, the instruction was given as a guide to make sure the job is done properly and efficiently. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Hope to see you next time. Stay safe and remember to work every day. Goodbye.